Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging headfirst into one of life's most fascinating and, well, let's be honest, often pretty bewildering phases: parenting teenagers.
It really is.
We've pulled together an extensive look at adolescent psychology, drawing heavily from psychology today, so we've got a really robust foundation for this exploration.
Good stuff.
Our mission today is clear. We want to unpack the huge physical and emotional transformations teens go through, understand why, parent-teen dynamics shift so dramatically, and crucially, explore practical ways you can stay connected and have those vital, sometimes difficult conversations with your evolving young person.
Adolescence truly is a challenging but absolutely essential period. They're moving towards independence.
Right.
And for many parents, it feels like their kid just suddenly becomes this distant stranger.
Yeah.
But here's a key thing. While that distance feels personal, so many of these changes are just part of a natural, almost hardwired developmental process. Parents who get this, who can offer empathy instead of just judgment, they're far more likely to maintain strong relationships that can actually get stronger through these years.
And we're going to dive right into some surprising stuff, like why do teens seem to take so many risks? Or how their seemingly aloof behavior is actually developmentally appropriate.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What does the research really tell us about what's actually going on inside a teen's head?
Well, fundamentally,
Yeah.
adolescence is about breaking away from those childhood attachments.
Right.
They need to forge an independent identity.
Right, trying things on.
Exactly. Think of them trying on and discarding different personas like clothes until something fits.
That takes courage, though.
It takes immense courage.
Right.
Especially when you factor in the hormonal chaos, the new self-consciousness about their bodies, their appearance. It's a lot. And it's remarkable how this push for independence often triggers a shift, sometimes unconsciously, in parenting styles.
Well, parents might find themselves becoming more critical, maybe more suspicious, or overly protective, even stricter, without really meaning to. It's a dynamic we need to be aware of in ourselves. Recognizing is a first step to limiting that distance that can grow.
That's a really subtle but crucial point. And speaking of surprising dynamics, here's where it gets fascinating. Why do teens take so many risks? It often seems completely irrational.
Irrational from our perspective, right? But evolutionary psychology offers a really interesting angle.
Okay.
It suggests adolescence emerged partly as this critical time for young humans to build the social networks they'd need to thrive.
Like survival depended on the group.
Exactly. Strong peer bonds were vital. And proving loyalty often involved, shared risks.
Wow.
That ancient impulse still plays out. It's why studies consistently show teens take way more risk when they're with their friends than when they're alone.
So it's not just rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's a deep drive for social connection that really reframes things.
It does.
Which leads us to that phrase parents hear all the time: I don't care. Why do they seem to lose interest in everything?
Yeah, I don't care becomes almost a mantra, doesn't it?
Totally.
And look, sometimes it might be true for old childhood interests.
Yeah.
Or maybe just faking indifference to what parents think.
Right.
But parents should really tune in if it becomes a blanket statement. If I don't care covers grades, their health, even their friends, that's a red flag.
Okay.
The source material warns that this kind of deep apathy can be bred by depression, but it can also sustain it. It's something you absolutely shouldn't ignore.
That distinction is so important. Okay, let's shift inward a bit. The research shows teens often grapple with intense self-criticism, self-doubt, stuff they rarely tell parents about. How does that manifest?
Well, those internal negative voices can lead them to want a lot of alone time, retreating to their room. Or, conversely, they might confide in another adult, a coach, a teacher, an aunt, because they feel less judged than maybe they do at home. Understanding that internal struggle can really help parents contextualize those mood swings and behaviors that seem to come out of nowhere.
And what about the focus on appearance? Puberty hits, and it just seems to consume them.
Oh, absolutely. It's a period of profound self-consciousness.
Yeah.
Our sources talk about how teens often look to celebrity role models. Girls may be aiming for slimness, boys for muscularity, plus all the pressure for trendy clothes.
So what should parents do?
Take it seriously. Don't mock it. Sharing your own past insecurities about how you looked can be incredibly reassuring. It helps them feel less alone, less weird.
That's great advice. Builds connection. Okay, big question time, very contemporary. Does social media actually cause depression in teens?
Ah, the million-dollar question. And honestly, the research here is, well, it's pretty inconclusive.
Really? Because you hear it all the time.
I know. But some recent studies actually suggest it might be the other way around. That depression might actually lead young people to spend more time on social media, maybe seeking connection or just distraction when they're already feeling low.
Huh. So correlation isn't causation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to look beyond the easy answers on this one. It means focusing more on the context of their use and their overall well-being, not just blaming the platform itself.
Right. Are they withdrawing offline? Is what they're seeing making them feel worse? Those kinds of questions.
Precisely.
Okay, let's pivot from the individual to the family dynamic. Conflict. It's almost expected with teens, right? But does it always mean the relationship is weak?
Not at all. This might surprise you, actually. Conflict is common, yes, but it doesn't automatically mean the relationship's in trouble.
Okay.
In fact, here's the counterintuitive bit. If a teen feels comfortable enough to actually raise difficult issues, to argue with you, that can signal a high level of trust.
Hmm.
And for a parent, being willing to actually debate something rather than just laying down the law shows respect for their growing autonomy. That's huge for them.
Seeing debate as trust. That's a powerful shift. So what about when they just shut down? Want to be left alone? It can feel like rejection.
Oh, it definitely could feel that way. But the research points to physical retreat and less chatting as, well, developmentally normal.
Normal.
Yeah. Solitude gives them space to try out autonomy, to think, to regulate their moods, figure out who they are. It's not always rejection. It's often necessary growth.
Okay, but how do you balance respecting that need for space with, making sure they're okay and still connected?
It's about maintaining an open door, literally and figuratively.
Right.
Let them have their space, but make sure they know you're there when they're ready. A quick check-in, sharing a meal, maybe doing an activity together sometimes. That can bridge the gap without being intrusive.
Okay. That leads to the broader idea of teenage rebellion. When does that natural distancing cross a line into something really concerning?
Well, pulling away, even challenging adult authority or conventions, that's pretty standard adolescent stuff. The line gets crossed when the acts put them at real risk. Risk of self-destructive behavior, damaging their health, or destroying really important relationships. That's when parents absolutely need to step in.
And why do they pick fights over seemingly tiny things? Curfew, chores, homework. It feels like they're just looking for a battle sometimes.
Right. On the surface, it's about the rule. But underneath, for the teen, these conflicts can feel like a challenge to their core identity.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. Denying permission to go out might feel like you're saying, I don't trust you.
Okay.
Checking up on homework might feel like you're saying you're not mature enough.
Ah, I see.
When they hear that implied message, it triggers their own self-doubt, which often comes out as anger or frustration. It hits that nerve of competence they're trying so hard to build.
So it's not the curfew, it's the meaning behind the curfew. Got it. What about lying? I'll do it later. I didn't know. I forgot. So common.
Incredibly common. They often lie to escape punishment or avoid responsibility. It's almost instinctual sometimes.
So what's the parental move?
The key is to help them understand the consequences beyond just getting caught. How lies hurt people they care about, how they make life more complicated, and, often lead to more punishment in the long run, shifting the conversation from detection to impact.
Right. And what about manipulation? Using guilt or big emotional displays to get their way.
Oh, teens are masters of perception. They can totally sense if you're worried about the relationship or feeling guilty about something. And they might use that, subtly or not so subtly, to gain permission for something risky or just get what they want.
So you have to hold firm.
You have to hold firm, recognizing that the huge emotional display might not be entirely genuine in that moment. And by not giving in and not using manipulation yourself, you teach them that honest talk is the way to go.
Okay. Despite all this pulling away, this conflict, you're saying parents cannot disengage. Why is staying connected so critical?
Because teens struggle, often silently. Anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, body image issues, bullying, peer pressure, sometimes even self-harm. While some stress is normal during these huge changes, parents need to be watching for signs of serious issues and help them get treatment early.
But there's a flip side too, right?
Absolutely. Parents have to be careful not to become a major source of stress through, overscheduling, intense academic pressure, or that helicopter parenting that just smothers their independence.
It's such a balancing act. What about physical affection? Lots of parents miss the hugs, especially with boys.
Yeah, that can be a real loss. Boys especially might reject what they see as childish ways.
So is that connection just gone?
Not necessarily. The source suggests finding other ways, maybe a pat on the back, a high five, a quick shoulder squeeze instead of a full hug,
Uh-huh.
and crucially, keep saying, I love you. Yeah. Even if they just mumble back or don't say it back at all. Keep that verbal lifeline of unconditional love open.
That's a good reminder. Okay, another common complaint. Why are teens suddenly so critical of their parents? It feels like you can't do anything right.
Huh. Well, here's the slightly uncomfortable truth. Teens often know their parents better than parents know their teens at that point.
Oh.
Parents have presented a pretty consistent image, while the teen has been changing rapidly. Plus, add in the adolescent need to sort of knock adults off pedestals as they establish their own authority.
Right.
And you get criticism that might feel harsh, but it rings true to them in that moment.
Is there hope?
Absolutely. The good news is, as they mature, they usually become much more accepting of parental flaws. They see you as human again.
Phew. Okay, so given all these dynamics, what are some concrete ways parents can stay connected?
The source has some great practical advice. First, ask them to teach you about their world, their music, their games, whatever they're into. It shows respect.
Nice.
Support their connections with their friends and also with other trusted adults. Be available, not hovering, but accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, maintain a reliable family structure. That sense of a safe harbor they can always return to no matter what.
Those are good. Are there any specific tips for parents of teenage girls, given their unique pressures?
Yes, definitely. For daughters, try to understand the line between maybe experimenting with sexier clothes and actual inappropriate behavior.
Hmm.
Tolerate some self-absorption as part of figuring out who they are.
Okay.
Try not to constantly criticize their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Peer bonds are vital. Help them become critical consumers of pop culture, questioning those unrealistic images.
That's a big one.
And maybe most importantly, own your own mistakes. Apologize when you mess up.
Yeah.
It models humility and builds trust like nothing else.
Owning mistakes. Powerful. Okay, finally on this section, what are some common parenting mistakes that actually make things worse during these years?
Well, given how fast teens change, overreacting to one specific behavior is a big one. It can backfire quickly.
Right.
Others include violating their privacy, like snooping on their social media without permission, teasing them, or making negative predictions about their future, assuming everything they do is rebellion against you personally. And doing things for them that they really should be doing themselves undermines their competence.
Okay, avoiding those pitfalls is key. But what about tackling those really tough conversations? That leads us right into navigating difficult discussions.
Yeah, when teens face big choices, dating, sex, substances, the parental instinct is often to just lay down the law, dictate.
That can backfire.
It often does. Plays right into the rebellion instinct. The better approach, instead of setting rules they might just break anyway, try listening attentively. Guide them quietly, supportively toward making good decisions themselves.
How does that work in practice?
Well, teens often talk about what other kids are doing or trends they see as a way to sort of test the waters, to gauge your reaction without putting themselves out there directly.
Ah, like reconnaissance.
Exactly. If you engage openly, non-judgmentally, it builds trust. It means if things do go sideways later, they're more likely to come to you for support, not hide it.
That makes sense. Okay, let's talk specifics. Drugs and alcohol. The sources say most teens will experiment.
Yeah, that's the reality, yes. So open, honest talks about the real risks are vital.
Should parents share their own experiences?
Within reason, yes, it can help normalize the conversation. But the experts stress the priority is encouraging them to make their own choices, not just follow the crowd. Empowering them to choose wisely, not just lecturing them with, don't do it.
Right, which leads us to vaping. It's huge now. What do parents need to know?
The numbers are alarming. Over 3 million young people in the U.S., about a quarter of high schoolers, use e-cigarettes.
Wow.
And teens often misunderstand the risks. They contain nicotine, highly addictive, and the THC ones have been linked to serious lung issues. Plus, they're just so easy to hide.
So what's the advice? Banning doesn't always work.
It often doesn't. But you should still be clear and firm about your disapproval. Inform them accurately about the risks, and crucially, let them know. If they are already vaping, you'll support them when they decide they want to quit without judgment.
Offering support to quit. That's key. Okay, here's a common worry. The source challenges. Should parents worry if their teen doesn't date in high school?
The answer is a clear, resounding no. It's a total myth that kids who don't date are somehow maladjusted.
Really?
Yeah. Research actually shows teens who start dating later often have social skills just as strong, sometimes even better leadership skills and mental health.
Eh.
And interestingly, way fewer teens today are dating regularly or are sexually active compared to previous generations. So if your teen isn't dating, don't sweat it. They might actually be doing just fine, maybe even better.
That's probably a huge relief for many listeners. Following that thread, what about masturbation? Is that something to worry about?
Generally, no. The vast majority of adolescents do it. Experts consistently say it's healthy, normal, doesn't hurt future relationships.
Okay.
What's interesting, though, is that the rise of easily available porn has actually coincided with a decline in teen sexual intercourse.
Wow, that's counterintuitive.
It is. But if porn use becomes excessive, obsessive, or inappropriate, that is something parents should be ready to discuss non-judgmentally, focusing on healthy boundaries.
Right. Okay, first relationships. Those intense crushes, they seem inseparable. How should parents handle that?
That intensity is developmentally normal, totally normal. The advice is, don't dismiss it, don't tease them, welcome the relationship, stay empathetic.
But what about intimacy?
You should clearly state your concerns and values around physical and sexual intimacy, but also be really alert if that first relationship ends. First breakups can be devastating for teens. They need support, not judgment.
Got it. And the sex talk, it feels so big.
It's important to see it as not just one talk, it's an ongoing conversation.
Yes.
Yes, share your primary concerns. But maybe even more important is making sure they know they can talk to you about anything related to sex and relationships without fear of shame or judgment. Be their source of reliable info.
Right.
And parents should know, research links early sexual debut, usually before 15, with higher rates of substance use and lower self-worth later on.
Okay. Shifting to a really serious topic. Self-harm. What do we know?
People who injure themselves, like cutting, often do it trying to cope with intense feelings, sadness, anger, anxiety.
Does it work?
Research says rarely. It doesn't usually make the feelings go away, and it brings its own dangers. It's often linked to trauma, abuse, or serious mental health issues like depression.
Who does it affect most?
Mostly young adults, primarily girls. Studies suggest maybe 15 to 30% might engage in it at some point.
What's the key takeaway for parents if they suspect this?
A teen who self-harms often feels utterly alone, so the parental response must be supportive, not critical. Seek professional help immediately. And it's crucial to know it's usually not a sign of suicidal intent, but a desperate coping mechanism.
Support and professional help, always the first step. What about eating disorders that can be so hidden too?
Yeah, parents who suspect an eating disorder should really do their homework first. Learn about the condition, how teens hide it, the best ways to get help.
Because there's shame involved.
Huge amounts of shame and anxiety, often hopelessness too. So approach gently. Express general concern, but be specific about behaviors you've observed. Stay calm. Encourage small steps towards getting professional treatment, which is absolutely essential.
Gentle but specific.
Yeah.
Okay, let's transition now to a huge milestone. Letting go when kids go to college. A clear separation, exciting but stressful.
Hugely stressful for both. And we really need to talk about the campus mental health crisis.
Right, what's happening there?
We're seeing rising rates of depression among students. Schools are struggling to keep up with demand for counseling. Kids who were pushed super hard in high school can arrive burned out. And those raised by helicopter parents, they can feel completely unprepared for independent life. It's estimated at least 1 in 3 students arrives at college already having a prior mental disorder diagnosis.
1 in 3? That's staggering. So what do parents absolutely need to talk about regarding mental health before they go?
You need to be frank. Tell them the stats. Nearly half of college students feel hopeless sometimes. A third feel seriously depressed. Almost 8% consider suicide.
Wow.
College is often when first signs of depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder emerge. Encourage them to watch for symptoms. Lasting sadness or worry, losing interest, extreme mood swings, feeling confused or fearful.
And to talk to someone.
Crucially, yes, talk to someone, a friend, an RA, campus counseling, even if it's not you. Don't just self-medicate. Help them find the counseling center resources before they even leave home.
What about the helicopter parenting effect at college? Does it continue to cause problems?
Or absolutely. Research shows students whose parents stay heavily involved, making calls, solving problems for them, actually have a harder time coping with stress.
Really? Why?
Because that constant oversight makes it harder for them to make their own decisions, solve their own problems, and build the self-sufficiency they desperately need.
So less involvement can actually build more resilience, which leads to the last point, giving them distance at college. It's hard when they don't call.
It is hard. Parents are often disappointed by how little they hear back. But honestly, often less contact means things are going well.
Oh, so.
It means they're busy, engaged in academics, making friends, building their own life. Experts actually suggest that when parents give them that space, kids appreciate it, gain confidence, and paradoxically,
Yeah.
they often become more likely to check in over time. It's a trust fall, really, for both parent and student.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the core insight seems to be parenting teens is this constant dance, balancing guidance with letting go, understanding their crazy, evolving minds, and somehow staying connected through it all.
That sums it up perfectly. It's a time of profound change for them and for us as parents. But if you can approach it with empathy, with support, those relationships can come through not just intact, but stronger, with a deeper respect setting the stage for their adulthood.
Right. So, as you reflect on everything we've unpacked today, here's something to consider. How might really understanding your teen's fundamental drive to figure out who they are, that identity exploration, change how you see their behaviors, even the rebellious or detached ones? And what new doors for connection might that shift in perspective actually open up for you?
Good question to leave with.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.